Alright, welcome to today's class. In today's class, we'll be dealing on the sum and product of roots of a quadratic equation. Recall that the standard form of a quadratic equation is written as ax raised to the power 2 plus bx plus c equal to 0. So this is the standard form of a quadratic equation. Now, if the roots of a quadratic equation are alpha and beta, therefore the sum of roots of a quadratic equation is alpha plus beta. And then the product of roots is equal to alpha multiplied by beta. Alright, take note of this. X squared minus sum of roots multiplied by x plus product of roots is equal to 0. So x squared minus sum of roots multiplied by x plus product of roots is equal to 0. Now let's substitute into this equation. We have x squared minus the sum of roots, as earlier said, is alpha plus beta multiplied by x, and then plus the product of roots, as earlier said, is alpha multiplied by beta, and then it is equal to 0. So let's call this equation 2. And then for the standard form of a quadratic equation, let's call this equation 1. From equation 1, we have that ax raised to the power 2 plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So let's divide equation 1 by a. So if you divide through by a, you would have ax squared divided by a plus bx divided by a plus c divided by a. So therefore a cancels a. We are left with x squared plus bx all over a, and then plus c all over a is equal to 0. Alright, so let's call this equation 3. Now let's compare the coefficients of equation 2 and equation 3. For x10, if you compare the coefficient of equation 2 and equation 3 for x10, you will have minus alpha plus beta is equal to b all over a. How do we get this? For x10, equation 3, the coefficient of x in equation 3 is b all over a. And then for equation 2, the coefficient of x is minus alpha plus beta. Why is it the coefficient of x? Because it has x attached to it. So therefore, alpha plus beta becomes minus b all over a. So here is the sum of the roots of a quadratic equation, which is minus b all over a. And then for constant term, comparing for both equation 2 and equation 3, for the constant term, we have that alpha multiplied by beta is equal to c all over a. How did we get this? Let me show you. For equation 3, c all over a is the constant term here. And then for equation 2, alpha multiplied by beta is the constant term here. So we simply equate alpha multiplied by beta to c all over a. Now let me remind you something. Judging from the standard form of a quadratic equation, we have that ax raised to power 2 plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now note that a is the coefficient of x squared, and then b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant term here. So if you are to compare two quadratic equations, you look for the coefficient of x in one and then equate it to the coefficient of x in the other equation. And then you also look for the constant term, which is c, in one equation, and then equate it to the constant term in the other equation. So that's why we have alpha multiplied by beta is equal to c all over a. So alpha multiplied by beta is the product of the roots of a quadratic equation, which is c all over a. Now let's take an example, since we've known the product and the sum of the roots of a quadratic equation. Alright, example 1. We have that 3x squared plus 4x minus 15 is equal to 0. And we are asked to find the sum and the product of the roots of this quadratic equation. Our first task here is to identify coefficients. Remember that a is the coefficient of x squared, and the coefficient of x squared here is 3. So a is equal to 3. And then b is the coefficient of x, and the coefficient of x in this equation is 4. And also c, which is the constant term, is minus 15. Now recall that the sum of the roots of the quadratic equation, which is alpha plus beta, is equal to minus b all over a. So if we substitute into this, we will have alpha plus beta is equal to minus 4 all over 3. Alright, let's find the product of the roots of a quadratic equation. Remember that the product of the roots of a quadratic equation, which is alpha multiplied by beta, is equal to c all over a. So if we substitute into this, we will have alpha multiplied by beta is equal to minus 15 all over 3. So alpha multiplied by beta becomes -5. So this is our answer. Alright, if you've not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe now. You can also leave a comment in the comment section. Alright, example 2. If the roots of a quadratic equation are 5 all over 3 and -3, form the equation. In this context, we are given the roots of the quadratic equation and we are not given the equation itself, and we are asked to find the equation. So how do we go about it? Now remember that x squared minus sum of roots multiplied by x plus product of roots is equal to 0. So x squared minus sum of roots multiplied by x plus product of roots is equal to 0. So then let's substitute into this equation. Alright, from the question we have that alpha, which is the first root of the quadratic equation, is equal to 5 all over 3. And then beta from the question is equal to -3. So here we have x squared minus alpha plus beta multiplied by x plus alpha times beta and then equal to 0. So let's substitute. We have x squared minus alpha is 5 all over 3. And then beta is -3. So minus and plus is minus. So we have -3. And then multiply by x plus alpha is 5 all over 3. And then multiply by -3. Which is equal to 0. So if we solve this out, it will give us x squared minus 5 minus 9 all over 3, attach x, and then plus -15 all over 3. And then it is equal to 0. So we have here x squared minus -4 all over 3. We attach x and then plus -15 all over 3 is -5. So minus and plus gives us -5, and then it is equal to 0. So here we have x squared minus multiplies minus is plus. So we have 4 all over 3x and then minus 5 equal to 0. You can choose to leave your answer in this format, but then let's continue. Our next task is to multiply through by 3. So if we multiply through by 3, it will give us x squared multiplied by 3 is 3x squared. And then plus 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. So we have 12 all over 3 and then x. And then minus 5 multiplied by 3 is 15. It is equal to 0. So our answer becomes 3x squared plus 12 all over 3 is 4 plus 4x minus 15 equal to 0. So this is our final answer.